Thank you. Yeah, and in our company, we are always make lots of analytics, collect in interesting cases, and in general, keep a hand on the pulse of the industry. And today, I, with my colleagues, Monika and Piotr, will discuss definitely the situation of the Polish game dev market. And let's start with year 2022. So I think everyone knows that Poland is a very great platform for the many game dev companies, studios. It's like a hub, a great hub for the game dev recent years, and it's not the end. And also there were a lot of changes in 2022 because Poland also became like a safety hub for I think more than 8 million refugees from the Ukraine especially. And I'm interested in your thoughts about how it was the year on the Polish game dev market in 2022. Do
you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So for me, like the general theme for 2022 was the Ukrainian situation, but it was still an employee market. It can be seen that it's going to change in the next year, but let's just keep the forecast for now. For me, the question is also which positions were needed in the companies and in the studios. So it's very important for me to distinguish between artists, developers, and other positions in the studios, because it was much different for each of those.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would mostly agree. I think like when the war started, actually still Polish companies were very receptive to like game dev specialists that fled from Ukraine, especially the ones that managed to cross the border. Like because I would say for the first half a year, companies were rather reluctant to hire people that stayed in Ukraine and were looking for a new job due to the political situation, like unstable internet and so on and so on. And yes, for the first 3 quarters, I would say it was employee market. Now it swifted a bit. I would say the last 3 months of 2022 were more like studio/company markets. I mean, of course, like developers, especially like console PC, they still can choose when and how and who they want to work with. But the market totally became harder for like artists or juniors or like more soft roles in game dev.
Yeah, and by the way, every time the labor market, it's like seasonal, because some months companies hiring more people, sometimes less.
Yeah, but however, I would say that in 2022, it kind of overlapped. I mean, like the last 3 months when like the companies are a bit like, pausing hiring with like already first wave of recession, I would say. So that was harder, I think, and I guess we're still looking in what will happen in the next year, because right now is also we feel the studio are just not hiring as much as they used to.
Yeah, we also mentioned this pandemic, and when I was searching for different analytics in the internet, I mentioned interesting case that, for example, in the Ukraine, in our country, we had the most difficult months, March. And in Poland, game dev, we met another situation that in March, they were the higher percent of the different vacancies of the market, and the months with the fewer vacancies, it was starting from April, and the fewer amount, they were, I think, November and December. And is it true? Is there months were really the most difficult for the market?
I would start and say that I think the case of the market not being that bad in the beginning of the next step of aggression of Russia was because a lot of companies went out and tried to help the refugees, give them work, and open some vacancies, at least like the companies that we worked or work with. And then maybe because also of the economical situation and the budgets of the studios and the investors being more cautious and careful, the situation has changed in the next following months after the aggression.
I mean, from my experience, like usually January and February every year is like when companies make headcount, who they want to hire, to which departments and so on. I mean, like ideally, it's something that should have been done in December, but it's usually happening in like January/February. And I would say that, yeah, like Polish companies hired lots of Ukrainians, but it's not like, I think at least, like that they didn't open like a special extra slots for them. It's like they were like, I would say, paid more attention into, you know, having an access to like the entire pool of talents that suddenly like day one just became free and looking for work. And given that Ukraine is also full of AAA studios, you know, with like world's best projects, like it was suddenly just, you know, a massive pool to dive in.
And in such situation, when we saw the bigger amount of the candidates, can we talk about some kind of shift of the company market to candidates market, so where the candidates can choose between different companies? And when the companies feels a little bit issues because it's really hard to hire something really cool and senior, for example, because such candidates have a lot of different offers.
I mean, honestly, I think it's always candidates market when it comes to like at least mid-level game dev developers. Like disregarding if it's like pandemic or war or whatever or recession, they can really always, like they're always being invaded by recruiters. So it's really case by case. I don't want to like, you know, give any like general opinion on like it's always either studios market or company or employees market, because it really differs like, you know, by the level, I mean seniority level of a candidate and the skill set and position and so on and so on. So I think there's like no black and white answer to that.
I think it's also a very broad and deep topic, because we can just say that it was an employee market, but maybe, for example, from my perspective, the people actually put much more effort to finding offers that are really suitable for them. And this previous year was a year where I learned that people are really trying to find something for themselves. They're acknowledging their values, they're acknowledging what they want, and then it can be also, in the long term, beneficial for the companies that they end up in. Because the projects that they have would get people that actually fit the roles that the company needs. And so it wasn't, like, to sum up, it wasn't a bad thing, I guess, also for the companies to, for them to be harder to find people, because the people that they got in the end were maybe more suited, and they will stay longer, they would bring more quality and worth to the companies. But it's of course still people on those mid-senior positions usually dictating the terms, yeah. and I guess it will not change, and this is how it is, and I don't think it's a bad thing as well.
Thanks. Yeah, and what we saw when we're talking with the candidates, especially who moved from another countries to Poland, yeah, even if they got the offers, they met with some kind of issues and they can't to accept this offer. It could be related to some legal status in Poland or something like this. So yeah, that's true. And maybe we can talk who is the most demand on the market. And also I have an information that inside vacancies in Polish market, there are more often indicated positions from middle level specialists. And also, I think it could be even not highlighted every time on the title that this position is definitely from the middle. But statistics says that mostly it's a middle roles on the market. Could you tell something about it?
I think I disagree with that. So the thing is, like, I think as I said a few times before today, that most in demand are basically like developers, at least mid-level plus, like senior lead. They can basically, you know, they don't have to apply anywhere because you're being contacted so often for new jobs. So it was like that before pandemic, before war. It's like that right now. And also, I would say over 70% of the requests we get from our clients, also Polish ones, are like, find us, I don't know, like Unreal Engine 4.5, C++/developers. So like any kind tools, engine, graphics programmers, like whatever, just anyone who's been working in game dev, had stable career path for at least like 3 years, and is like this is always on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those levels of seniority, mid-senior, as Monika said, they didn't really have problems beforehand. They don't have problems now. I think the only issue for this seniority level, and it also appeared in the panels yesterday, is that the language and the cultural barrier sometimes.
Mm-hmm,
so after the aggression in February started, a lot of people came in, and a lot of companies had to kind of adjust to the situation. And even though the big companies usually have the language of the company English, the indie vibes, the smaller studios, 10, 20 people, they sometimes had to adjust to it. And it was also this kind of a gate for the mid-senior people from other countries to jump into the studios, because the studios had to have some time to adjust and to, I don't know, the manager positions trying to get other people underneath to speak English at work, to joke in English, to be open and you know, treat everyone on the same level.
Mm-hmm. So I think we can also add this moment with the language side to one of the difficulties when the person choosing the company and choosing the offers, because maybe in some team it will be uncomfortable to speak only in Polish or in English. Yeah, and also I think Monika already mentioned that there are a lot of proposals for artists and developers. I also saw this information. And so do you have the most vacancies for different artists and the developers during your work when you're looking for some candidates for the companies?
So last year, I mean, like still in 2022, it was always like around 50% developers, then another 50% being art, game design, production, narrative design, and so on and so on. But right now, really over 70% of requests we're getting are about engineers. And this is how also market changed, because like companies are more internalizing their HR teams, like having bigger recruitment teams inside. So what we're getting are like the hardest role they really, you know, they're either having issues with, or that's been on the market for a while, and like, you know, basically they haven't found anyone. So I would say for now, it's like most like of our hunting is for developers. However, already our Polish-based clients are telling us it's gonna change in the next half a year. I mean, like after June, basically, they're gonna be more like, they're gonna be opening a bigger variety of roles.
By the way, are there positions for Unreal Engine developers? Because we
Like hundreds
saw
of
a lot of for Unreal Engine.
Yeah. I mean, like this is like usually 80% of our time. What we're doing right now is hunting for Unreal Engine for developers. Yeah.
Yeah, and the companies need them to scale up, and the number of people in Poland, at least, is of course restricted. So this is a big part of our work as well to find the developers, and it's usually people transferring from company to company, not being on the market of searching for a job for like 2 months. It's very rare, I guess, for this kind of people. But this is also interesting what we're talking about, that there are some vacancies that were not there before, and like the need for engineers, or like the now the growth of AI and it entering the market. And it's like I talked to some studios and they're starting to have a need for prompt engineers, like using chatbots. It's something that haven't been there before, so it's also an interesting time, and I think it will be a matter of studios sometimes adjusting, and maybe the need for developers would change, I don't know. But for now, it's, as I said, it's the biggest amount of our work to look for those Unreal developers.
I think like in terms of like change of the market, what we've noticed like as an agency is that I think really for the past half a year, also over 80% of the studios that approach us like in order to get help are crypto/blockchain game dev studios. Like really 80% of what we're getting are from companies like that, and it hasn't been happening at the beginning of 2022. It was like really a massive switch basically from day to day.
Yeah, I think such vacancies, it's also new and for the candidates, and maybe not a high percent from them can be interested because of it's a new.
I mean, like crypto and blockchain have a very bad reputation, game dev in general, so it's not really something that I think any agency, at least for now, want to be branded with or associated with. So it's a different topic, I think, for another panel speech.
Yeah, and anyway, so it's a good time for developers, as we see. And an often question about junior candidates. So is it also close for junior specialists that the most proposals which companies have for such type of candidates, it's also art positions and developers positions?
I think that juniors always had hard timing in like to break into the industry, and it's been like that really always, not just right and not just now. So what really matters here is like basically taking part in like game jams, doing private project with friends. So basically once you send your CV/portfolio to the studio, people can see that you invested your private time into like in making games, not just like graduated in engineering, whatever on Polytechnic. So I know it's really hard for them, and I think there's like not a perfect solution right now. Although some of the bigger studios do like summer camps for game dev juniors, mostly for branding, I think. But it's still like a good opportunity to basically get some nice brand in your CV.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's a tough time, as I think it was for junior developers. But I was also thinking of what could be solutions. We discussed with the studios. I really like the idea of bigger studios trying to open the internship positions, trying to also give some infrastructure to people to learn in. But my honest opinion is that it's too slow. Like we'll end up in not having too many experienced regular developers, because it's like, from my perspective, tons of juniors contact me and try to get somewhere to find a job, and it's like, they don't really see the opportunities, the methods, the way of how they could get into the industry. And I think like we're still lacking this infrastructure, but I see it growing, and I just wish it was growing a bit faster.
To be honest, I'm a bit cynical about all the big studios making those like internships programs. I mean, like it's great they do it, but it's always like showed as like a massive advert. And for the way I perceive it is like it's more for a PR, because to be realistic, once you're working on like a AAA project and you have publisher like briefing on your neck, it's not the juniors you need for the project. It's like at least mid-level seniors. They can just, you know, cut to the chase and start working. So it's great they're doing it on the one hand, but like reality is that the bigger studios, like it really takes time to train juniors. You have to assign senior developers, it's their time and their work and so on. So I mean, it's tough, and I think there is like no structured solution to that as for now.
Yeah, it's also not for everyone. I talk to a lot of junior position people that are they're not specialized in anything, and then the studios looking for interns or like entry-level people, they usually have a lot of people trying to get there. So then they have the upper hand basically, and they can decide whether, oh, this person has something special or not. But what about the other people? And then you have this reality check of a lot of people that really want to get into the studios, that really want to get into game dev, that they don't have this facility of getting in. And this is also, I think the effect of it is like, not companies, but schools like in Sweden you have Future Games, for example. This kind of schools for developers where they can work on their portfolios, on their skills, that it will be growing as well. But it's also this problem of people not being able to afford this kind of schools, because it's usually private institutions. So, but also like them growing, and like for example, this Future Games trying to open in Warsaw is maybe a call for other private companies to open up cheaper versions of it, and people getting into the industry by just learning and getting some knowledge from those
we already
places.
have like game dev schools in Poland, and I'm not sure like if any of them are free, but for sure they're cheaper than in Sweden.
Yeah, definitely, and there are some, but it's still not everyone that decides to go there. But I just don't want to put blame on juniors, because I guess some people don't want to spend 2-3 years of studying in those universities. I mean, there are courses, but I think also the problem is juniors and entry-level people not being educated kind of and knowledgeable about how to approach the market, how to enter, how important is it to build a portfolio, how important it is to go to game jams, because I talk to a lot of people and they're like, oh, what is LinkedIn? I didn't know about it, and then it would be very problematic for them to.
We actually did few lectures in game dev schools on like, you know, how to build your portfolio, how to apply, blah blah. But I think like it's the wrong thinking in general that education is associated with entering or not entering game dev. I mean, like honestly, you don't need to go to university to work in game dev. Like,
yeah,
I don't care what I see on a CV in terms of like school.
Exactly. So it's very important for the people to know the importance of creating their own game, like spending a year to try to see what they like doing, and not being so like looking for offers for Unity developer and applying everywhere, because it's a matter of fact that it will be much easier if they have some specific knowledge about something, and then the way is much easier. But it's still, we can go into specific roles and specific problems, but in general I think it would be very nice to also spread the information like you do, for example, with those lectures, like how to build the portfolio, how to get to companies, how to connect to recruiters, how to connect to the management of the studios, and it's not that clear, I think, for some people.
Yeah, it's always a long topic about junior specialists. And here, regarding some special tasks or responsibilities, it could be useful because even yesterday on the another panel discussion, there was a close topic. And anyway, we see for the managers, for the CEO of the companies, it's important if they will hire such person, it's important to know which really issues on the project they can close. And it's also important to show a self-independence for such specialists. So, okay. Also, I'd like to talk about features of job search in Poland. So let's start maybe with the most hiring cities in Poland. I saw that it's Warsaw, Kraków, Wrocław. It's like a top 3.
You mean like the gaming hubs in Poland, like game dev studios hubs, or?
In general, the cities are hiring the most. And on this, there are a lot of vacancies in these cities.
Yes, I mean, like it's like Warsaw, Kraków, Wrocław, but this is where all big AAA studios are. However, most of them are working fully remote, so it really like doesn't matter where you're based. Like the studios that actually decide to like push people into either hybrid work or on-site work only are losing employees. So yeah, this is where they're based, but people are just working from home or co-working space if they prefer.
But it's also for juniors. I talked to some people from the studios that we cooperate with, and after the pandemic, after it all eases up right now, they really see a need of juniors going to the studios and at least having a hybrid work, because it's much easier for them to give them certain skills, to see them. As one of the company owners yesterday said, the juniors from before COVID, they're not juniors. Like they knew how to work at the place, how to interact with seniors, how to learn from it. So now it's some companies really want them to at least show up at the company's headquarters. And yes, as you said, those big cities are like hubs for those companies. They're based there, so it's really beneficial for juniors to sometimes relocate and move and just try working somewhere for a year, and then it's easier for them to be more picky and say that, okay, I'll work for a company in Canada because I have certain experience, and the Polish companies have really good reputation in the world.
I mean, juniors is a different topic, like, but we're like, as an agency, we're not used to search for juniors because they're easy to get. So why would someone pay us to get juniors?
Mm-hmm. And maybe this situation also related with that some companies starting to open more offices and start to back people to the offices, because when, for example, I communicating with candidates from Poland, one of the first questions it's are these companies which you proposed have an offices, real offices in these cities, because I'm tired of the COVID situation and I want to see the people faces, and maybe ideal fits it's a hybrid type of work. So regarding your thoughts, how is the situation with the remote work now? Is it still popular as a little bit earlier or not?
Yes, it is. I mean, like, there's a human factor to that, right? Like, not everybody wants to work remotely for like different reasons, either psychological or have kids at home or whatsoever. But I think the ideal situation is when a company actually has an office and gives you a choice. Like, do you want to come in? Do you want to come like on hybrid mode, or do you want to work fully remote? Like, this is when everybody's happy, right? But really, from what I see, the companies that switched from remote to like hybrid are losing employees, because still statistically, and we did a research of like asking, I think, around 800 people, like 85% of people still want to have a choice and prefers to work remotely. So this is like hard data numbers. So yeah, I would say remote is still a king.
Yeah, from my perspective, the companies that we work with, which is not like the whole industry in Poland, but it's very popular, like it's 90% of the cases that they allow people to work both in the headquarters or remote. I mean, they would prefer the juniors to be on site, but they also allow the remote work. And I think it's like a good way of approaching things to let people choose. And there are always people that are more extroverted, wanting to meet, to spend time in the studio, and there are people that just want to do the work and spend time with their families or dogs or cats or whatever. So I think this pandemic also brought this kind of solution to people that didn't really want to commute, to spend an hour going to the office, and now it's from my perspective, also from candidates' perspective, really comfortable for them to be able to say, okay, I'll just stay remote, and because this is what I like. But some people also have the opportunity to go there on site.
Because mostly they were used to work remotely. But anyway, what I mentioned, there are often cases, often practice when the candidates asking about the offices, asking about real-time communication. Yeah, and also maybe in the nearest years we will have such type as for official, so I mean maybe in some countries, sometimes we will meet such points in even the labor code. So yeah, because we will moving to it. Okay, and also it's always interesting questions on which platforms, on which job website the candidates responding the best. So is it still maybe LinkedIn, or is it some another platforms?
So I would say, at least for us, I mean, the way we work for the past years, really posting a job, yeah, we do it, but it doesn't bring big results. It's mostly for like, digital marketing, and, you have to have those backlinks and everything, but LinkedIn is a king, really. I mean, like, not in terms of job posting, but what really brings results is active and direct headhunting, because like people that do have skills, I mean, like, are at least mid-level plus, are not really actively looking for a job, so we need to poach them from different companies. So I would say like over 90% of our placements, so like putting somewhere in a studio, just comes from direct search on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and from our perspective, where we don't really have job postings, we can see that studios struggle with it and just having offers, and I guess this is why they contact us, so we can help them with this recruitment. And for example, seeing LinkedIn as a growing platform for people to search for a job, it's something that I saw in Scandinavia, which is like also another level of using LinkedIn, and I think people are still adjusting to the level to which they have to use it as developers looking for a job, as a platform where you can contact people directly. And I love people that are just directly contacting me, asking for, okay, I need this job, and it's like the easiest way for me to also help them with finding a job. And like from what I know, it's the job postings are not always. I mean, they usually bring people that are applying, but it's usually people that are not really suited for the job. And
yeah, often cases. So LinkedIn is still on the top.
I would say
for
so.
us, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and if we will look for another side from the candidate side, for example, when the candidates would like to contact with the hiring company or recruiters more quickly, is it okay, for example, if some candidate search Facebook or another social
No, don't do
page?
Facebook. I mean, Facebook is a very social platform. Like, for example, like as an agency, we don't do cold calling. Like, we don't call people, hey, you're open for a new job, and we don't contact people on Facebook. Like, it's very invasive. Like, it's not a professional platform, right? Also, I don't want strangers to message me on Facebook, and I think no one wants. So basically, like, if you're looking for a new job, I think like the best approach is like to be methodical. So like, made a spreadsheet with the companies you want to work for. and target their recruiters or people directly responsible for hiring. Because for example, small companies don't usually have HRs or recruiters, but contacting really someone very directly on LinkedIn, which is a platform dedicated for contacting people, like in a professional environment, I think brings like the biggest result. Because once you're actually suited for the job, you're gonna be noticed, and they're gonna take action. Because like once people apply to applicant tracking system on the website, they go into the asylum of like, I don't know, hundreds of applications, which like 99% of them being irrelevant. So I think really the direct contact, not being spammy, is the key here.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I will give you to ask. And so it's also, as I understood, you told about when the recruiters would like to contact quickly with the candidates. But if the candidates would like to contact quickly with the recruiters,
this is what I'm talking
it's
about.
the same.
Yeah, they should just, map, like even the basic version of LinkedIn allows you to like filter through company function and so on. So contacting a recruiter or hiring manager from the company you want to work with is like, adding personal touch to application.
Piotr?
Our perspective on that and the companies that we work with is like very extreme. The amount of people that the companies get from the job postings and the whole recruitment process after the job posting is very small compared to the direct connections, to writing to people on LinkedIn, not on Facebook, but writing to recruiters as candidates, writing to recruiters, trying to get to the manager positions at the smaller companies, for example. And it's much easier to get into the studio like this. So like the big advice is also to think of which company, what position I would like to work with, and then try to get there. Like focus on that, not like send thousands of CVs to any company and be like, okay, I will take everything. I mean, try to think of what you would like to do and which company is like producing games that I like, or you heard something about the environment in this particular company, and try to get there. I mean, try to I heard those strategies of people slowly, I don't know, commenting on those HR posts on LinkedIn, or liking their posts for a month or something, and then trying to be visible. And I think it's a very good way, or to directly contact recruiters, directly contact managers. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, those people are employed to do this. So if you're contacting them, if you're contacting even managers, producers, then you're just helping them actually.
Yeah, we're also always recommending to make targets and do not do mass mailing. I see we have a little bit high time, 5 minutes left. So maybe we can shortly discuss 2 more questions, and we will in time. Do Polish companies feel some competitions because of moving a lot of companies here, for example, from Ukraine, like GSC, Plarium, Wargaming, etc.?
So the first thing is that usually the company that moved to Poland moved with their teams, I mean, like as much as they were able to. And the other thing is that really none of my Polish clients, of course, we don't cover the entire market, but like none of them really expressed the concern of like, oh, they're coming here to take our people. So I don't think it's happening. Also, so far, we've been working with two studios that moved from Ukraine to Poland, and both of them really pushed for hiring full-time on-site, which is really, I would say, against market standards in Poland right now, and they've had like tough time into actually getting people to work with them. So I don't really think that Polish market is like perceiving Ukrainian companies as like a competition, like they're gonna steal our people or whatsoever. So I think we're good here.
Yeah, it's also very popular to say, oh, they're taking the jobs from us. But no, I didn't really feel that way. And the candidates that I worked with, both from Ukraine and Poland, are like, I don't think it's problematic. I think it's like a healthy competition that was there, and it hasn't really changed a lot because of the situation. Because, as Monika said, also the companies moved to Poland, so I guess there are also more positions open, and I didn't really feel that it's like a big problem right now that people are starting to fight between each other for the positions there.
Okay, thanks. And how about your own forecasts for 2023?
I was actually waiting for this question because, to be honest, if I knew what's going to happen, I would bet on stock market and I would be a millionaire next year, or this year. So I don't want to spread like my armchair science and think, oh, what I think is going to happen, because honestly, I don't know. I mean, like on a personal level and business level, I hope things that should not be happening will end and the recession will end. And I think this is all I have to say.
I'm also not like a wizard to know what would happen. From my perspective and my work, I really enjoy the fact that people in 2022 really gained a lot of knowledge about their value, about what they want. Not always, but I saw this trend. And then it also makes it easier for me to find them a project that is suitable for them. And I'm also looking forward to see how the vacancies would change, how many of different people would studios need. I mean, this would be a year of, it has already started layoffs and recession, so maybe the budgets would be lower and maybe new positions would open. I really I'm looking into the thing of AI and how it would influence the market, because from my perspective, for example, it's the recruitment tasks, the code that people are sending. Now it's starting to be a bit tricky because you don't know where it came from. So, but maybe like this is just my thought right now. It's very beneficial that I would really need to get to know people, which I'm trying to do, to know whether they're really doing the stuff that they're doing, or are they just trying to hide something.
Yeah, but in general, we see that it's started 2023 okay, and let's say even brightly, and hope that the future will be perspective and we will see even more interesting proposals on the market.
The Polish industry is like one of the biggest in the world. I read some statistic recently, and
yeah,
I hope
true.
with countries where the industry is so big, we'll manage somehow, like the recruitment companies as well.
Yeah, so we will see. Okay, I think it's a high time. Thank you for the answers, and I think we can start with the questions from the audience. Yeah, it's a light in my eye, so I half of the audience I don't see. Sorry.
Don't you think that junior developers should apply to to any kind of job, like get the hands dirty? So, like.
I think that juniors don't have a luxury of choice of like, oh, I want to work for CD Projekt and Techland. Like, no, I think really they should start getting into like any game dev studio that's posting job which is relevant for them on the market.
No, I mean the variety, not like variety of kind.
Sorry?
I mean, not just the programming, but like animation and other stuff like backend, frontend, and every single stuff.
So you mean that people on the entry level should try to get to any position that there is?
Just go wider, not taller.
I think it's a scale. As I was saying, it's good to think of which company you'd like to work with, but of course juniors don't have this luxury of doing it. But I think my point was that it's much easier with the direct contact. Even if there is a person that just wants to get onto the market, no matter what position they're doing, it's like it could be a waste of time to just send CVs with your high school diploma everywhere, but more like, okay, I would like to work in this company as an animator or whatever, but just try to be direct in the contacts, I guess.
I mean,
Sorry. Yeah, this would be the advice so I see this way of going into the companies that is the most effective.
But honestly, like I think even as a junior, you have an idea whether you want to be a developer or you want to be an animator or like 3D artist. Like you might not know whether you want to go, I mean like whether you want to do like characters on environments or like assets, but you still know that you want to do art, right? So
yeah, it would be quite hard to get to the company, I guess, at least from my perspective, saying that just take me.
yeah, then basically, I mean, like answering your questions, yes. Like if you want to do art in games, in mobile games, then just apply for any art positions because they might actually help you to define what you want to do in the future.
Yeah, because many companies don't know what they want to hire, and
That's a different topic.
yeah. But
It depends on the companies, I think, and their identifying. Okay.
So I wanted to ask, as a young artist and probably future junior in the job, because what if I know how to prepare my portfolio? I don't have experience in any industry, but I have skills that I can improve that I have, and I know what kind of job I want to do. I don't know, maybe looking for the internship is the only way I can find something, or in the game development is a chance for me to find a normal job, to full-time job with no experience in the game development, but with the skills and portfolio.
So if you have the skills and portfolio, just make sure it's aligned with more or less the style of the studios you're applying to. And honestly, like even like if you're not graduated yet, just take part in as many game jams as you can, because this actually shows you were doing art for game dev, even though it was not a commercial experience.
Yeah, just take part in the project so you can also prove that you worked on something, not only on the portfolio. But having the portfolio and having the skills is like, I think the biggest step that you've already done. Now it's like trying to get there. And I mean, there is also another way of what the companies yesterday were talking about, trying to get to QA, which is sometimes a gateway to get there. But I guess like if you have the portfolio, if you have the skills, you need to just try and yeah, those game jams are a wonderful opportunity. I think in the big cities in Poland you have those every year or every
They're
now and
like
then.
all the time, everywhere. Yeah.
How about as a cover letter to such application? Now, for example, me, I'm always reading a cover letters from the candidate. So maybe it also will be useful. Okay. Thank you for the question.
A question from the recruiter.
What was the hardest hire last year?
Hardest in terms of?
Anything, position, the duration of the
Challenging
hiring
position,
process,
I think,
interviewing process on its own.
You want to start?
Yeah. I mean, because we sometimes, as Imponderabilia, we take those very special positions that we need to find people for. So last year we had the case of having a person, art director, that used to work in Poland, then moved to Denmark, and we had this VisLab Studios, as I think the speaker already mentioned, where they needed a very, very experienced environment concept artist, and we took on the project. And it was like a matter of 2 months, because it was also a case of relocating the person. So we found her, and we had to go there to a small city in Denmark to show her around, to get to know the company, because on those seniority levels you really need to be sure that this person would fit this company. But it was hard. Like we need to spend a lot of time, but I guess it was worth it, because the person is satisfied and the studio is happy that they got this person.
So for us, I mean, like, first I wanted to select a technical director, whom we hired for like a AAA studio from the UK, but actually the hardest roles for us are the ones for our client based in Czech Republic, because they only hire full-time on-site in a small city in Czech Republic. And it's just really hard to get people to relocate, as it's not Prague or anything equally sexy. So I think, yeah, getting 3 people hired there was our like, yes, we did it, so.
Yeah, so I guess those are the hardest challenges, to get people to move, but not to like big cities, but to some smaller towns, and trying to also be sure that they will thrive in this environment, because going to a small city, I've been living on a small island of 30,000 people for last 3 years. I know that it's not for me, and I wouldn't want someone to end up in this situation. So it's a really big challenge to understand this person needs.
Thank you.
A small question. In current circumstances, how much time it gets to get a job if you're a junior, but already have some skills, portfolio, and etc. From your perspective, of course.
I think it really depends on a studio, because ideally we'd like our clients to close the process like anything between 3 or 4 weeks, but sometimes it goes for months and months and months. So there's like no straightforward answer to that. Like some of them actually process people like for 1 week and get an offer on the spot, and some of them are just like dragging it for 4 or 5 months. So I would love to tell you, like, if you're entering the industry, like, oh, it's just gonna be 1 month, but it can be a bit harder. And I think it's about being persistent and just, like applying methodically every day to specific people. Just don't make it random, and don't, spread spam. I think that's the best answer I can give here.
Yeah, and also a matter of persistence, and there will be a lot of failures on the way, and a lot of people that reject you. But it doesn't mean that you should stop. Like there will be, like, it's a matter of probability, and like doing it for 3 months, maybe you'll finally find a company that has this particular need, that looks for a person that like horror movies, and then you'll get there. But like it needs to be persistent.
I think actually, if you get rejected, you're gonna be lucky, because most of the companies are not providing any feedback or even rejection emails to juniors applying there.
Maybe it also could be related to season of the market. So maybe in summer it's always less vacancies. So you can also jump to a right time.
So it is the time to grab the vacancy, yeah? Spring, I mean.
Spring? I'm not sure. What do you think? It's not a very bad time to
I think the
jump
slowest
to
period
the
is
market.
December, but
Yeah.
I think, like right now you're in the good spot.
I think it will be growing right now, so you can try. Wish you good luck. Do we have a few minutes for one more question? Okay, great.
I have a question from a different perspective. If I'm rebranding, and I'm still quite new, and definitely older than most of the juniors or trainees, how to show my different experience, not connected with coding, for example, and is it taken under consideration, and how to show it?
So you mean like, I don't know, being a developer for 10 years and then trying to be a character artist, or like switching?
No, completely different branch.
To add some new expertise to your CV, or what do you
when I'm starting my completely new career path, not connected.
So changing industries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How to show my other qualities, not connected with coding, for example, and are they taken under consideration when you are looking for
I think
for
you
candidates?
could be trying extract as much experience from previous work that possibly overlaps in your new desired position. Like, you didn't give enough context for me, like, to be very specific. But it always counts, like whether you, have background in art or product management or just management. There is always some sales points which you can use. However, if you're like totally changing, I would say that most probably in the game dev you're gonna be still considered as a junior. again, if you did nothing similar in the past.
Yeah, it's also dependent on the position, because if you go from IT to game dev, then usually you don't have to go through junior positions if you're, for example, a backend developer. But I guess my advice would be, again, to talk to people, to try to get people to know you, to know your qualities, to talk to recruiters, try to get them to talk to you. So then you can tell them, okay, I've been working in this industry for 10 years and I have those skills. Please help me with getting there, because those people are already in the industry. So maybe it's nice to find connectors between you and the companies, which I guess are recruiters and maybe some producers in smaller studios.
Okay, thanks.
One more question, yeah? The last.
Yeah, we have time.
Okay, so it's
We
thank you.
The last question.
The last question. I think we can finish in this case. Yeah. Thank you all to join us today. And Monika, Piotr, thank you very much for your participating.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me as well.
Thank you all.